Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. President Adama Barrow on Monday hosted iftar at the State House for the NPP and its alliance partner candidates in Banjul, KMC and the West Coast region, as well as some supporters ahead of the National Assembly election. At the event, President Barrow called for unity in the alliance for a landslide victory in the upcoming election. Mudulamin Choi was there and has the details.
With less than a week to the National Assembly election, President Adama Barrow, who is also the Secretary General and leader of the National People's Party, has hosted an iftar for candidates of the NPP-led alliance in the constituencies of Banjul, KM and the West Coast regions, together with an estimated 700 of their supporters. The event provided the platform for the candidates to deliver speeches which echoed their wish for an overwhelming victory in the upcoming parliamentary election. That is a wish for any candidate in the race to the National Assembly, but at the level of the NPP-led coalition, the strategic communication stressed the need for a more united front to sweep the polls across the country. The candidates take to the podium to remind the president and appeal for his support in development challenges facing their respective constituencies. Here are Sirif Sar and Fatumata K. Jawara, National Assembly candidates for Joswang and Talending constituencies respectively.
His Excellency
Mr. President, we are appealing to you to get to the communities and find out the problems and solve them in any way you can. We have seen your support and the people of Talending are grateful. We know that you wish peace for the country and your vision is to move it forward.
His Excellency President Barrow,
we know that you have done a lot for the country. We have seen that. But there is something we need in the country. Mr. President, you promised us that you will develop KMC like you did for Banjul. In that, we the people of KMC are waiting for you in that regard. Now, executive members of the National People's Party also speak at the event, expressing confidence in the upcoming election and urged supporters to come out in large numbers to cast their votes for a massive victory.
We believe
that we can win the seats in many constituencies in the election. I am calling on Gambians, not only in the West Coast region, that on the day of the election, let us all come out and cast our votes so that we can support the president to develop our country. President Adama Barrow, the party leader of the National People's Party, wishes for and anticipates a clear-cut victory for the NPP-led coalition candidates across the country. For the president, this can only happen when there is a spirit of togetherness.
The
victory I had on the 4th of December, I wish you a bigger one. We can do it if we come together, because we have the means to bring about a victory in this upcoming election. I want all of us to be brothers and sisters and support all those candidates in the alliance. I'm urging all of us to be together like we did in the presidential elections and work hard and come out to cast our votes on the 9th of April 2022. The National Assembly election is scheduled for this Saturday when Gambians go to the polls to elect National Assembly members who will be entrusted with the responsibility of lawmaking, representation and oversight on the government in the best interests of the Gambia. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
The Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center in Ghana, in collaboration with regional partners, on Tuesday held the second edition of the Stakeholders Dialogue for the implementation of the 2019 to 2023 Strategic Plan. Loli M. Kamara attended the event and she now reports.
The event brought together civil society organizations and the private sector to discuss innovative strategies to support and complement ECOWAS conflict prevention and management efforts in Africa. Sylvia Honame, KIPTC's Director of Policy and Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, said, since the adoption of the ECOWAS conflict prevention framework in 2008, both KIPTC and WANEP have worked closely as part of their mandate to advance peace and security in the region, thus increasing the capacities of member states in training and policy support.
In addition, promotion of democratic rule, human security, peace building, and good governance, among others, in West Africa are relevant. So, do we also believe that your organizations, all represented here, from the wider CSO community in West Africa, have a critical role to play to contribute to conflict prevention and peace building in the region, and together we can all work towards strengthening our efforts towards the implementation of the ECOWAS conflict prevention framework.
Dr. Festus Obien, the Regional Coordinator, Research and Capacity Building WANEB, states that recent developments in West Africa have raised concerns about the long-term peace and stability of our region, adding that over the years, WANEB has contributed immensely to the implementation of regional and continental normative and policy frameworks to address the root cause of conflict and security challenges facing the region.
Particularly the resurgence of unconstitutional changes of government through military coups in the region have raised concerns about the fragility of political institutions and also undermined the democratic dividends achieved over the past decades.
Aseyi Nani, Technical Advisor, GIZ, KIPTC, shares our happiness in taking part and to engage the different stakeholders in setting the tone for what is to come in West Africa's peace and security scene.
The increasing number of military coups and unconstitutional changes in West Africa since 2019 pose a significant challenge to the democratic order and the peaceful development of the sub-region. The salience of insecurity in West Africa and the Sahel region remains a source of concern for regional good governance and external intervention. And this is where civil society should play a role. I hope this meeting affords us the opportunity to interact, exchange resources, and navigate opportunities, dependencies, and constraints in your international and domestic level collaborations.
Established in 1998 and commissioned in 2004 by the government of Ghana, the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center aims to provide globally recognized capacity for international actors in the African peace and security landscape through training, education, and research to foster peace and stability on the continent. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Now, the International Organization for Migration, IOM, in partnership with the National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, NATIP, conducted training for journalists to enhance their knowledge and provide them with techniques for interviewing victims and in reporting cases on trafficking. Our reporter Alhaji A.F. Jallo attended the training in Basse, URR, and filed in this report.
This training, which is funded by United States Department, will familiarize journalists with the guiding principle of interviewing or covering stories of victims of trafficking. During the training, Usman George Bajic, the National Program Officer for IOM, said the media plays an important role in advocating for the rights of the victims of trafficking and trafficking in persons. He added that credible journalism requires journalists and editors to gain in-depth knowledge about the stories they cover.
IOM, the Gambia, is implementing a project with NATIP, that's National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, on the Ministry of Justice, which is entitled Supporting National Effort to Combat Trafficking in Persons. And then the project is working on a 4P approach, which is the 4P approach. You look at the first one, talks about the first P talks about prevention. And then we felt that you cannot prevent trafficking in persons without raising the awareness of people, both at national and community level. And then under that, the same P, we also supporting to train media houses, because we felt that in order to combat trafficking, journalists have to be better equipped with information, so that will also enhance their reporting skills and also their investigation skills. Because we are made aware that there are some journalists that specialize on investigation. So also when you talk about investigation, people tend to associate it with security. But training journalists also to investigate also try to enhance their reporting skills.
Hadi Jata, the investigating officer at NATIP, also highlighted the importance of training media personnel towards achieving their set targets. She added that journalists will be equipped with special techniques for reporting and investigating trafficking cases.
The importance of this training is the media house plays very important role in this community, because they send out messages and people listen to their message. So it's very important and vital that they know these tips, they know tip cases, how to report tip cases, and also how to interview tip victims. That way, they will also help in in teaching the community as for the dangers of trafficking in person in the community.
Ismaila Sonko, a freelance reporter, said trafficking in person stories must be told, adding that this training will enhance his skills to better report and investigate trafficking cases.
In this area, trafficking in person, is very common in the Gambia here, and there's nothing, much storytelling about it. So for journalists to be gathered here and do the training on this, it is very helpful. It will be very helpful as a journalist because you will know the area and you know the tactic to use and you know the skills to apply to get those people and interview them.
The aim of the training is to equip journalists with the right skills and knowledge to appropriately report trafficking in person cases in a way that will maintain the dignity of victims who share details of their ordeals with them.
Well, that report by Alhaji A.F. Jallo takes us to a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local and international news for you.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Your favorite QCell service has gotten bigger. eFunkanta. Now you can loan bigger credit amounts to make life easier for you. Loan $75 and $100 and pay later. Yes, you heard me right. Get credit loan from $10 to $100 using eFunkanta by dialing *393#. Anytime you run out of credit, whether you want to buy QPower, browse the internet, make urgent calls, or send SMS. eFunkanta is the service for you. Dial *393# and choose the loan amount of your choice with no hassle. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus, the pioneers of mobile loan service in the Gambia. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News, and we also welcome our listeners on Q Radio. Hope True Clothes, in collaboration with Spend for Allah charitable organizations in Canada through Khadija Foundation, presented a new borehole to the village of Jara Sitanunku in the Lower River region. Mudalamin Choi has the rest of that story.
This village has long experienced water shortages. Now, with easy access to a water supply, the villagers are happy that they can comfortably carry on with their needs, most of which depend on water for sustenance and survival, including that of their livestock. Mohamed F. Jabi, the Vice Chair of Khadija Foundation, says the community will enjoy clean water, especially during Ramadan, while appealing to the donors for more support to build more boreholes for poor rural communities.
The people of this area of Jara Sutukung don't have a proper water to drink. This water is clean and very neat for them to use it during the Ramadan. If they can help me for them to have another borehole for this community, because it's a very big community, we thank them. May Allah help them, give them long life and good health. The blessing of the Ramadan, we want for them to share it. May Allah give them.
Alhaji Baba Kanaji, the representative of the Imam, thanked and prayed for Allah's blessing for the two organizations in Canada for supporting them. He explains the impact the borehole will make in their lives. Humans cannot prosper without water. Our village has been affected by water shortage for a long time. I was born and I grew up in the same situation. This borehole is very important and is at a strategic location. So, we thank Allah because this will have a huge impact on our lives. Musukeba Mane, the women's president, says after struggling for years without water, they finally have a borehole that can provide the community with clean water. She recounts how the women in the village would wake up early in the mornings to look for water to do their household chores. She expressed delight at this positive change.
We are so happy about the borehole because we have received something we were not expecting. Everyone in this community knows how we struggle to get water. So we thank the donors because this borehole has brought us relief.
Water as a necessity for people has always been a priority. However, there are sometimes problems of access, especially for those living in rural communities. These communities, thankful to Hope Through Clothes and Spend for Allah charitable organization in Canada, for coming to their aid in providing the much-needed necessity and priority, access to water. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
Well, my deep apologies for pronouncing that as Jara Sitanunku. It's Jara Sutukung rather. My apologies. I've been to this place, so I should have known better. But still on the news, next is international news. In international news, as Muslims across the world observe Ramadan, each country and region has its unique culture and traditions of how to observe the holy month. We looked at a few African countries, Tanzania, Djibouti, Morocco and Algeria, to see how they do it. More in this report by Ajibantu Drame.
As Ramadan begins, the spirit of Ramadan is visible in Muslim countries. However, customs and culture vary between countries on how they observe the holy month. The similarity all the countries share is the use of dates, giving and sharing iftar with the needy or neighbors. In Algeria, families hold special celebrations for children fasting for the first time. Girls wear new dresses and sit as queens in a high place at the time of iftar until they feel the attention and appreciation. Also, many Algerian families prefer to circumcise their son on the night of the 27th of the month. They are also keen on religious duties and worship, where mosques are crowded during the Taraweeh prayers, especially in the second half of the month. The age at which fasting starts for many Tanzanians is 12. Restaurants owned by Tanzanian Muslims are closed during the day. During the Azan for the Maghrib prayer, some mosques announce the time of iftar by beating drums, allowing people to head to their homes. Ramadan meals in Tanzania include dates, with which they start their breakfast, alongside sweetened water and coconut-flavored rice with vegetables and fish. For drinks, you will find tea with vanilla and tropical fruit juices. Djibouti, located in the Horn of Africa, shares borders with Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, and most of its inhabitants are Arabs, such as Omanis and Yemenis, as well as African ethnicities. The most important custom there includes married women only wearing a traditional outfit called shield, a costume which women wear on feasts and holiday nights. The men wear the makawi on their waist, an outfit that resembles the Indian sari. Strangely, the Djibouti people stop eating fish throughout the month of Ramadan, as they believe it causes death during fasting. In Morocco, the month of Ramadan provides an opportunity for families to meet and exchange social visits. Married members of the same families meet at the family home, at what they call the big house, on Fridays in Ramadan. Similar to Algeria, parents celebrate the first fasting of their children by preparing a special iftar, consisting of delicious Moroccan dishes, besides milk, dates, and dried fruits. Moroccans observe the 15th of Ramadan by reciting the Quran in mosque, and women prepare couscous dishes or desserts to distribute among the poor and worship in mosque. In the Ivory Coast, the holy month is called Sunikalu, which means the month of fasting. When Ramadan approaches, religious lectures and preaching start in mosque in order to educate people on the fiqh of fasting. Iftar is different in the Ivory Coast from any other African country, as no one has their iftar at home. As a month to show generosity, families cook their food and take it to another poor family for everyone to have iftar together. The dishes called marid, tarid, as well as soup remain some of the most important foods in Ramadan in Ivory Coast. Lastly, the Gambia and Senegal share similarities in customs and traditions. During Ramadan, both countries value tolerance and giving out charity and iftar to the needy and passerby in the streets. A distinguishing feature they share in Ramadan is a custom to give sugar, locally called sukur kor, to families, friends, and the needy to express love and acknowledgement. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Well, Ajibintu, you're making me more hungry. In fact, I need more food right now. But now let's take us to sports news. In sports news, after the last day drama of their qualification, African teams have been handed tough draws for this year's World Cup. More in this report. To get to the finals of this year's finals in Qatar, African teams had to negotiate tough qualifying campaigns, followed by a straight shootout with the final 10 teams paired off. 5 teams emerged to represent the continent. After Friday's star-studded draw in Doha, Qatar, all 5 African representatives know they have difficult groupings to negotiate passage to the knockout phase. In Group A, African champion Senegal, qualifying for their second consecutive World Cup, find themselves drawn against 3 teams that failed to qualify for the last World Cup, including host Qatar, South American side Ecuador, and group favourites the Netherlands. In Group D, Tunisia know 2 of their opponents, reigning world champions France and Denmark. The other spot is one of 3 unfilled places held up due to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. In Group F, Morocco appears to have the toughest assignment, being drawn with Belgium, world ranked #1 for much of the last 4 years, Croatia, beaten finalist at the last World Cup, and the much improved Canada, who finished top of North American qualifiers ahead of the USA. In Group G, Cameroon, host of the recent AFCON, find themselves sharing a group with the current world #1 ranked team, Brazil, Serbia, and Switzerland. And finally, in Group H, Ghana, who edged out fierce rivals Nigeria, are drawn with Portugal, Uruguay, and South Korea. Following their bitter defeat by Uruguay in the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, when Asamoah Gyan missed a penalty that would have likely taken them through to the semi-finals, Ghana's players, some of whom are in the current squad, may well have revenge on their minds. There are several notable absentees from this year's World Cup, none more so than reigning European champions Italy, who remarkably missed out their second consecutive World Cup. Russia might have made it, but have been excluded following their country's invasion of Ukraine. From Africa, big-name absentees include Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa. Mumudu Gajaga, QTV News. Now, before we end this news bulletin, here is a recap of our main news headlines. President Adama Barrow on Monday hosted iftar at the State House for the NPP and its alliance partner candidates, as well as some supporters in Banjul, KMC and the West Coast region ahead of the National Assembly election. The Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center in Ghana, in collaboration with regional partners, on Tuesday held the second edition of the Stakeholders Dialogue for the implementation of the 2019-2023 Strategic Plan. The International Organization for Migration, in partnership with the National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, conducted training for journalists to provide them with techniques for interviewing victims and in reporting on trafficking cases. In international news, as Muslims across the world observe Ramadan, we looked at the unique culture and traditions of a few African countries on how they observed the holy month. And in sports news, after the last day drama of their qualifications, African teams have been handed tough draws for this year's World Cup. And that's it for QTV News tonight. Thank you very much for watching, but don't forget to join us again at 10 for another bulletin.